What's going on, Neon Nation? Welcome back to the channel for some more Cyberpunk 2077 news. In today's video, we'll be talking about Cyberpunk 2077's GOG sales, GOG's Night City news series, some new interviews where we learn about implants, Keanu Reeves, actors and actresses in the world of Night City, pushing the boundaries in gaming, optimization for consoles and lower-end PCs, religion in Cyberpunk 2077, killing big NPCs, and much more. First, we have a new article from gry.wp.pl with Mateusz Tomaszkiewicz, where we learn a bunch of new information about Cyberpunk 2077. Mateusz was asked as if the virtual version of Keanu, who plays Johnny Silverhand, will meet a virtual Lady Gaga, insinuating the possibility Alt Cunningham would be Gaga. Mateusz responds that the players will have to wait and see, and that they won't betray the plotline, so they can't comment on rumors and speculation. Mateusz also clarifies that while most people refer to Silverhand as a hologram, this is not necessarily true. He prefers to call Johnny a digitized personality construct because he's only in your head and is also a thinking and feeling being and not a simulation. When it comes to radio stations and the genres of music playing on these stations, Mateusz tells us that there will be several playlists with different genres and some will receive their own announcer, although they won't be imitating classic radio 100%. In-game tasks and side quests will many times be distributed via telephone and SMS from fixers like Dexter Deshawn. There will also be situations and events we can participate in that facilitate the start of a mission. When it comes to the prevalency of hand-holding in games and making them easier, Mateusz mentions that Cyberpunk 2077 will strike a balance for people who want to focus on the story and the game not being overly easy. The Kiroshi Eye Augment seems to be compared to the Witcher senses in investigating clues, but there will be things that are hidden within Night City and harder to find. It also seems like TV will still be a thing in Cyberpunk 2077, and some residents won't be utilizing all the new and boisterous tech in the world due to religious reasons. Mateusz goes on to say that religion plays a big part in the society of Cyberpunk, and that we will see Christianity and its various factions and religions of the East. Next, we have an interview from Game Reactor with lead quest designer of Cyberpunk 2077, Paweł Sasko, where he speaks on how Cyberpunk 2077 will push the boundaries of mature topics in the game beyond just sex and violence. Sasko mentions that when it comes to the maturity scene in Cyberpunk 2077, it's not just sex and blood and killing, but it's also philosophy, political topics, minority inclusion, and gender topics. He mentions that there are certain quests addressing the topics of spirituality and religion, and mentions it's important in having them represented in games to push the boundaries of how we view them. Paweł, who designed the famous Bloody Baron storyline in The Witcher, recalls thinking if the topics addressed in that questline were kosher for a game since it hadn't been done before, but inevitably decided to forge ahead because of the mature nature of the Witcher universe. All in all, Paweł mentions that a great deal of emphasis is placed on striking a balance between fun gameplay and artistic elements. Next up, we have this awesome new release for pre-order from Dark Horse Comics called The World of Cyberpunk 2077. This is described as an insightful, captivatingly designed, full-color hardcover that transports readers to the futuristic megalopolis of Night City. This is an extensive examination of the rich lore of Cyberpunk 2077 with 200 pages of goodness. If you guys are into art or learning about the world of Cyberpunk, this is a must-buy. Pre-orders are live, so head on over to Amazon and reserve a copy. Next up, we have details on how Cyberpunk 2077 will look on low-end PCs and modern consoles. In an interview with WCCF Tech, CDPR's Alvin Liu was asked a question regarding the optimization for lower-end hardware, since many people have been wary that their machines will not be able to run Cyberpunk 2077. Alvin responds as follows: "We have a very custom engine, the Red Engine. We're targeting consoles as first-class platforms, and it looks amazing there. Obviously, if you spend $2K on a PC rig, it's going to look better, but the graphics are quite amazing for what you're going to get from Cyberpunk 2077 on consoles and low-end PCs. Those of you with 1050 Ti's, PS4s, and Xbox Ones can rest a little easier." Next up, we have a couple awesome details. When it comes to the music of Cyberpunk 2077, it seems like CDPR has added Paul Leonard Morgan to its team of composers. If you guys have seen 2012's Dread, he composed the soundtrack for that movie, which is a fairly strong soundtrack in my opinion. When it comes to attacking NPCs, we will be able to be aggressive to most of the people that we meet, other than children or NPCs connected with the plot. Next, we have news that every third copy of digital versions of Cyberpunk 2077 have been pre-ordered from GOG.com, a subsidiary of CD Projekt Group. This is awesome because CD Projekt Group collects 100% of the money upon purchase, and it's a great way to support developers who are actually making good games these days. If you haven't already, consider pre-ordering via GOG and show CDPR that we appreciate their hard work and consumer-friendly policies. Speaking of GOG, the entire team is so hyped about Cyberpunk 2077 that they've decided to launch an online magazine called the Night City News, where they will post updates about the game. In issue number 1, they feature their 2019 version of Chippin' In by legendary Chrome Rock music band Samurai, played by The Refused, a brief synopsis on Netrunner T-Bug and the nature of her betrayal in the 2019 CGI trailer, a brief synopsis of Pacifica, the cosplay contest details, and some details on non-lethal settings on weapons to neutralize enemies. This is all stuff we have covered, but it's nice to glean over again. Also, they have provided a high-quality do-it-yourself Cyberpunk 2077 poster that you guys can print out. Moving on to an interview, we learn more from Mateusz Tomaszkiewicz. When asked what other Hollywood stars he'd like to see in the game apart from Keanu, he says, quote, "I love Meryl Streep, I love The Devil Wears Prada, and it would be great to have her as one of the characters in the game." He goes on to mention that, quote, "She could totally be one of the big corporate characters in the game." Does this mean Streep herself will be in 2077? Probably not, but there's always the potential for more Hollywood presence in the world. Truthfully speaking though, I hope it is just Keanu, since I think Cyberpunk 2077 can stand on its own two legs and share its own unique vision and story without getting reduced, at least publicly, to the big names attached to it. Finally, I know a lot of you guys have been asking me in the comments and some of the community podcast live streams on becoming a content creator or what some of the equipment I use is, and so I'll take this opportunity to mention that I am now an Amazon affiliate, and I do have a page with all the equipment I use for PC gaming and YouTube content creation. It's a nice balance between affordability and computing power with some very reasonably priced peripherals, so if you guys are in the market, please check those out. Thanks for watching, and for more Cyberpunk 2077, join Neon Nation by subscribing to the Neon Arcade.